Chapter 10. The truth shall make you free. Jesus told us that the truth would make us free. When one stands in that free, flowing stream of universal power, nothing can touch him, let alone hinder or stop him. The Christ is God flowing through the individual. One standing in that attitude has everything to use, and all of the principle flows through him. Why has this power become static, inactive, and non responsive in so many of us? Only because of our own attitude toward it. Each individual's attitude of thought can completely check the utilization of it, even though it continues to flow in universal abundance. When one is aware of this power flowing through him, he can give conscious expression to it. When Jesus made the statement regarding his unity with the Father, he knew that all humanity could be as he was and is. The truth frees us from any negative condition in which we may be involved. We alone bring about those negative conditions, and we alone can free ourselves from them by changing our thoughts. Jesus knew the science of expressing that freedom. He knew that humanity would go on to greater and greater accomplishment as more individuals grasped the truth. We are just beginning to realize our possibilities, although the scientific world changes are coming about. Scientists are learning that if they will definitely work with principle, they will accomplish their research more effectively and quickly. That attitude is taking their work out of the guessing state. The debasement of God is death. There is no death except through the debasement of God. Jesus showed us the way to turn to God. Worship God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. In debasement, we have worshipped outside conditions and made every idol possible and worshipped them. Man must bring forth God from within, in that way presenting God to the whole world. Many people have asked where we get our authority for our statements. You can find it for yourself by taking the Jewish Bible and the lexicon and making your own translation. You will find a complete story of millions of years of evolution in the first chapter of Genesis. We find that there have been great epochs of humanity. Through the distortion of the original teachings, humanity has been taught that it was outside of God's dispensation, living in a material condition through which it must work. But God never cast man outside of himself. Man himself has built the illusion of a mortal existence, wherein God must be won by prayer and acceptance of religious formalities. Yet, no matter what attitude we take, we cannot alter perfection. It stands preeminent. It does not matter to principle into what form you build this body with your thoughts. You do not alter principle in any way by building what you think of as an imperfect body. We can entertain all the doubts we wish, but some day the truth will sink in. When we drop all our doubts, we are back in perfection, where we belong. Jesus told us that we are our own saviors. How could a completed love forgive anything? How could completed principle forgive anything? It is only that we forgive ourselves from this separation. This great race of today is right at the point of accepting the great order of the Christ in the individual. Can't we see that if we turn completely to the Christ principle, presenting the Christ-like attributes instead of destructive thoughts, we should become so aware of this great condition that we would change the nature of all humanity? We are face to face with it now. When we accept, we shall know it as we are known. This great period in which we are today is the completion of the cycle, where the Christ stands forth again dominant. The Christ always stands as the conqueror. The entire Bible is the complete bringing forth of that condition, pointing right to this time, with the Christ coming forth, meaning that every one of us presents the Christ. The moment we accept, this body becomes a light body. Then we begin to use the power of which we have been unaware for so long. We have now passed through the so-called golden age of the natural philosopher, which reached its climax about 150 years ago. We are now fully aware of the wonders of nature and its projected perfect divine plan, and that divinity is within every unit of all humanity, also in every tree, every plant, every flower, as well as all vegetable life. While the minerals have life, they were formerly under an entirely different sphere of existing influence. As all of humanity learn to use and bring into active control all of their mind faculties, they will find that there is within the mind every ability to control and fully create and bring into existence every atom and every planet. All substance then creates all substance into being. This factor is the supreme intelligence, or God intelligence, which moves upon and through all things, and is the creator of all things. Man has stood in this Godhead for eternity, the actual ruler and the creator of all things. But as one begins to deviate from this great and noble plan, then that thought may create a bug, a worm, or a vicious thing to move about and torment humanity and even destroy himself or a portion of humanity. But even if millions do use thoughts adversely, those thoughts will in no way affect the entire plan. They may apparently affect a seeming large portion of humanity, yet the full God balance holds all in complete accord and unfailingly to the original plan so that no atom is misplaced. Then it is difficult to conceive how all come from the one cell as that point of infinite intelligence of humanity. That infinite divinity rules all supreme over all and through all things. This infinite intelligence was ruling long before the universe began to appear as being. Then let us worship that great intelligence as the one and only cause and ourselves as that very thing, as this will eventually bring us into a clear understanding of it as well as all things. Unless we cling tenaciously to this and accept it as absolute truth or fact, we will always miss the salient point of our complete existence. It is through the selectivity of the divine emanating principle that the Christ is born. It is the creation of the whole human race. The truth Christ is every form. This is the immaculate, the true conception that Mary foresaw and the total conception of every child born. The true Christ is perpetuated throughout all humanity. Thus, all humanity is eternal and immortal, the true God being. Look at the wonders of the creation and birth. Go back 100 million years, if you wish, and you will find this God principle, the Christ in each and every individual dominant among all humanity. Trace on down to the present, and you will find it just as commanding, just as dominant, also just as justifiable as it was at that age. It matters not how it has been covered by man's ignorant, negative, or mortal thinking. The moment one glimpses this all sustained and sustaining truth, the entire thought current is open to its beneficent influence. It is that very influence that has placed and sustained the heavy layer of oxygen just far enough above this earth that it is a protecting shield that filters out the life giving rays from the sun and lets just enough come through to maintain life upon this planet. Just as soon as humanity sees this great beneficent action and what it means to each and every individual, then will the Christ principle again sweep through all humanity, and they will see the one supreme God, intelligent principle that governs justly, wisely, and completely. There will be no more of the setting up of false gods or graven images. This complete truth or unity of purpose is never deviated from by storm or condition of emotion. It just stands steadfast above the storm. This great calm is in no wise affected for. Again, as we open our thought to its influence and just let it flow through our entire being, our thoughts are so saturated by its defying influence that we soon find our mind is really at home again and we are one and the only instrument that has completely transcended time and space. We have arrived again in the beautiful garden of God, intelligent principle, at home right here on earth, where the beauties of all heaven really do and always have existed. The wonderful paradise of God within every human form. Go directly within yourself to find God, the supreme intelligence. When you do this wholeheartedly and know that God is really you, the entire being of you, you will find every answer and you will be ever permanent, stable, and all knowing. There you will find that you are right at home. Also, you will find that you are all things, know all things, and capable of giving out all things, and that you are all truth. It is well to know that every individual is the same as you and to give them the same privileges that you have. As you can carry this to success and know that you have mastered all obstacles, you can go where you will, do as you will, and speak God forth into all things, and there will be no limitation in your thoughts for others. The only time it takes to make these transitions is the time that you allow. Allow an instant, and it is accomplished. Just rejoice in God, your very self, and free every limitation. Also, recall that one instant is all eternity. Thank you, God, for life and light abundant, full and free, for perfect abundance, wealth and power, and unhampered liberty. In using this prayer, always think and keep your thoughts on your full and complete body temple and know that this body form that you see is God. When you are looking at your body, you are looking at the complete and perfect God temple. Your body is the very first temple that was ever brought forth into form. Therefore, it is the first and purest temple where God could dwell. Then, why not love and worship this perfect God temple? For by loving and worshiping it as the God temple, perfect and complete, we must be absolutely aware of this body as the God temple complete. For loving, thinking, and accepting is true worship. There never was a temple like this temple of the living God. Every temple built by hands can in no way compare with this body temple. They are pictures and forms that the mind has thought out, conceived, and built or brought into form. Yet they fall far short of even bringing forth one function of this beautiful body temple. There is not a laboratory in all the world that is capable of doing what this body laboratory does without taking any thought of the process, taking in food and transmuting it into life or bringing forth a living form that is perpetuating a race, or even flexing a muscle, let alone thinking, acting, moving, talking, and perceiving that which is the present, the past, or the future. The ability to construct, build, also to go forth and teach and endow accomplishments, to assist posterity, to give forth that which is good and noble, honorable and magnificent. Then think, is there a temple aside from this body temple that can give forth all of these virtues unless they are endowed with them by this great glorious body temple? The first and only temple not made by human hands? Is it any wonder that God chose to abide and be at home within this glorious body form, this form divine, this God temple body that completely renews itself? Then let us cast about and see how and why this body has been so degraded. We have been taught by sacrilegious, deceitful, ignorant, profit-seeking individuals with but a smattering of the real truth that this body is weak, sinful, imperfect, inferior, abnormal, subject to disease, decay, and death, that it is conceived in iniquity and born in sin and every other thought and expression that immortal man can conjure up. First, let us think and look into the past and and understand just where and how these teachings, thoughts, and words have gradually drawn us into a terrible vortex and miasma of sin, duplicity, sickness, failure, and last, the greatest dishonor of all, death. Let us view with a clear vision the results of this dishonest perfidy and see to what extent it has led us into dishonor of this perfect God body form. Then from that moment to let us truly forgive, thus forget, and let it passes from our lives, our thoughts, our actions, and our whole experience. Again, let us keep forgiving and forgetting it until every vestige of the experience is completely erased from our subconscious thoughts. It is within the subconscious thought process that it has, by repetition, been engraved as in a photograph through vibratory influence, until it repeats to us these records over and over, again and again, until we believe they are true. The photograph of yourself or any friend or individual is but the record of the vibration of that body form. It is this way that the thought forms or the forms of the spoken word in vibration are recorded in the subconscious, and it has the ability to repeat it to you. Then let us think just for a moment how we have trained ourselves to accept and believe and worship these degrading untruths. Then let us think or suppose just for a moment that we had never heard or been taught these words of untruth, and that they had never been lodged into our vocabulary. We would never have known them, or accepted, or learned, or believed, or worshipped them. If we are capable of learning them and believing them, we are far more capable of unlearning them and demanding that they leave every time they come up, or are repeated to us from the consciousness. Just say to them, "You are completely forgiven, so leave me entirely alone." Then say to your subconscious, "Just erase all of those and accept no record, only the truth as it set forth." How can you express youth, beauty, purity, divinity, perfection, and abundance until you see, feel, hear, and know them, and put them forth in thought, word, action, and expression? Yes, by worshiping them. By so doing, you impress them on or into your subconscious thought, and this subconscious thought reflects these thoughts back to you from the picture you have presented to it, through the vibration that you have established or set up there. You will soon find that there is no more trouble for your subconscious thought to repeat the truth that you are sending forth to it than it is to repeat the former untruths that you have previously imposed upon it. The more you impress the truth upon the subconscious by love and worship, the more it will send it back to you. This is where you are the master, for by forgiving the untruths and letting go of them, you will find that you have mastered them. You are above and beyond them. They are forgiven and forgotten. You will find by talking to your body, the subconscious of you, and knowing that what you are saying is the absolute truth. It outpictures, for if this that you are telling your body is not the truth, you would not have a body. You would in no way be able to think, act, move, speak, feel, see, hear, breathe, or live. Then the greatest privilege to the world is to know that all are the same and have the same power that you have, that they as well as you have the same powers, and that they as well as you have never lost that power. They as well as you may have perverted their thoughts about the power, but those perverted thoughts have never in any way changed or diminished that power. For when we change the true thoughts, words, and action, we find that power flows through our body, and we readily feel the glory of its response. Yours is the power to do this completely. You have given limitation dominion over your thoughts. Simply break that shell that you have allowed yourself to be encased in, and you are freedom itself. Know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Question and answers. Question. Is it true that you were in India in person and experienced those things in the body as recorded in the books which you wrote? Answer. We have never in any way been able to travel in the astral condition and have used no method outside of the physical method we know today. They were actual physical experiences. Question. If you knew that Jesus could be contacted anywhere, why did you go to India to unearth these truths? Answer. We did not go there for that purpose. Question. Have you personally ever transported your physical or astral body? Answer. I know nothing about the astral body. We have had our physical bodies transported many times. We have never been able to determine how it came about, but the very fact that it was brought about is proof that it can be accomplished again. It is only a matter of going about it in the right way. Question. Does lack of forgiveness limit the power of our love? Answer. There is no limit to love or forgiveness or principle. We can use them in every direction for every condition. Just let go of the condition and revert back to principle. The moment we have forgiven, we are right back to the principle. End of chapter 10.